So growing up in the early 2000s, the people who created most of the media we consume would always glorify and just praise one decade that was prior to that. That decade being the 80s. Whether it was Family Guy or Robot Chicken making pop culture references we never really understood, or you were button mashing in GTA Vice City to spawn a tank and commit some act of domestic terrorism with a hyper pop soundtrack. It seemed like the 80s was very prevalent in my childhood. In fact, I actually went to high school with a lot of those born in the wrong generation types. Outside of some of that sweet Colombian marching powder that was said to be so pure could ride on Goku's Nimbus, I never really understood the hype. Thought the Breakfast Club was overrated. I can probably say that now and not get crucified. There is one trope, however, that not only captivated me at a young age, but also withstood the test of time and has evolved and shaped a lot of the things that we see in movies today. And that trope being the misanthropic, antisocial, ass-kicking, orgasm-bringing, bullet-storming, explosion-ignoring, badass action hero. Whether it was Bruce Willis crawling through the world's cleanest ductwork or Sylvester Stallone yelling incoherently, it seems like these over-the-top action scenes mixed with main character dialogue that consisted of one-liners being spewed out every 20 seconds, it was perfected in the 80s. And none show this archetype of protagonist quite better than the subject of today's video, Maraud. Maraud was a 6-part comic miniseries released by DC Comics in November of 1987, written by Doug Munch and illustrated by Paul Galassi. Now, I first picked this comic up at Tucson Comic Con 2024, solely based off of the cover art. I then proceeded to get all 6 issues of it so I could dive into this world, and now I'm going to take you into it. So buckle up, nerds, as we weave through traffic and dodge missiles, and I'll tell you the story of Maraud, a hidden gem from the 80s. The story of Maraud takes place in a not-so-distant future where shape-shifting aliens have taken over the world and are reshaping the Earth's atmosphere to resemble that of their dying homeworld. They've pretty much crippled humanity to a point where humans feel like there's no point in fighting back. They've made a lot of the Earth's creatures pretty much go extinct, but are genetically mutating them and coming up with experiments to create new ones. So you got overly aggressive pandas, you got mutated monkey men, and you also got dinosaurs. They brought back dinosaurs. Fuck yeah, dude. And in this world, humans have a 5-year expiration date. So after 5 years, the reshaping of Earth will be completely done, and there will be no more us around this bitch. And yeah. The remaining humans have factioned off into different groups. God, that was fucked up. The remaining humans have factioned off into different groups, such as the Vermin Packs. These are militant outlanders who are heavily armed, but tend to fight each other more than they fight the alien invaders. You have a smaller subsection of humans called the Xenos. Those are people who still have hope for humanity and are trying to fight back and even negotiate at times with the alien invaders so Earth can still remain being our home planet. Another subsection of humans are those who have completely submitted to the new overlords and are completely okay with being used as their submissive fuzzy kink sex slaves, basically. They even worship the Shapers. Now in the book, you're gonna hear them commonly referred to as fuzzlickers, not to be confused with someone who likes to dine at the Y with a woman who is all natural. These people are seen as the lowest of the low in terms of this universe. The last group of people don't really have a name per se, they're just more of nomadic people that roam around the Earth in isolation, avoiding other humans and also avoiding areas of the Earth that the Shapers now ultimately control. Book 1, we get introduced to Slash right away. He's riding his motorcycle in the middle of a desert, responding to a distress call from his estranged lover, Wild Blue. Now, to paint the scene on Slash a little bit, Slash did start with fighting off the alien invaders at first. He's actually infamous in their world because he killed 5 Shapers and is the only person to kill a Shaper and live to tell the tale. Even though he's not really talking to anybody, he's just kind of dicking off, doing his own thing outside of the realm of everybody else. He dove headfirst into complete isolation from everybody else, doesn't think the Earth is worth saving because of what humanity has devolved into, of attacking each other, getting dicked down by the alien overlords, and he thinks nothing's worth saving, so fuck it. He's gonna just be on his own. The only reason why he's responding to this distress call is because he's in love with Wild Blue. Now, they paint the picture that this is out of the ordinary for Slash because he doesn't like to associate with anybody. He doesn't even want to fight back at this point. But the narrator explains that the call of Wild Blue can make Slash do anything. Similarly to real life, where if you smoke the Wild Blues, you end up Fenty folding in the middle of a Circle K and stealing catalytic converters. So as he's responding to this distress call, heading to Vegas where Wild Blue is. His scanner on his bike detects a large creature, one of the dinos, chasing something smaller. Now Slash is hesitant at first, but he decides to go and see what's going on. He then finds a dino about to completely devour this doofus in a fitted hat, which is where he springs into action, hits a sick ass wheelie through some trees and unloads his gun in the mouth of the dino and saves the guy's life. Now the guy, obviously being grateful that Slash just saved his life, he's over here thanking him. Slash is uninterested. He's very nonchalant about the fact that he just saved his life. So while this guy is over here giving Slash all of his praise, Slash is completely ignoring him, just harvesting some of the dino's tail meat like it owes him a honey bun in the pen. The man continues to praise Slash like a bad Tinder date that you can't let down subtly. He's just like, so where are we going after this? Slash is like, well, you can fuck off. But the man stays persistent. And eventually his persistence pays off, because we then cut to them sitting around a campfire, telling tales of the old world, reminiscing about the good old times before the invasion. We get a little backstory on Slash here, we get a little backstory on the guy here. But that's when Mr. Fitted Hat decides to ask a really dumb question. It's not really a dumb question, but how he handles Slash's answer was dumb as shit. He asks Slash, so where are you going? Slash says, oh, I'm going to Vegas. Doesn't tell him why. So the man automatically thinks, oh, Vegas, Sin City, he must be a fuzzlicker. He must... It's like a fucking slur. Be damned if my daughter comes home with a fuzzlicker. He thinks that Slash is going to Vegas to do what other people do in Vegas, which is worship the Shapers, get dicked down by them in the fucking hotel casinos, and just clean the fur off after. So after his accusations of calling Slash a fuzzlicker, Slash is like, no, I actually hate the Shapers, but you know what I really hate? It's having this dumbass conversation with you right now. The man takes offense to that, thinks he's gonna prove something, pulls out a knife, lunges at Slash. Slash, having plot armor of being the main fucking character, blocks the attack, grabs a knife, and ultimately takes homie out the same way that Ginger Kid took out JT and Degrassi. We then cut to Vegas. Outside of one of the hotel's casinos, we got the Pope's chastity hoes protesting, holding picket signs, trying to praise the big man upstairs, and it didn't work. Instead of praying, motherfuckers were spraying, and they all get shot. They're just dead in the snow now. We then cut to inside of the venue that they were just protesting outside of, where we see a band of mutated monkey men playing some rock and roll / shaper gospel music, and must have been pretty fire, because inside of that club you got the asses shaking and the shapers shaping. This is where we get introduced to the lead commander of the Earth fleet of the Shapers. His name is Commander Sark. Now Sark, not really the most responsible commander. He's on Earth thinking they already won, he's gonna party it up. He fucks bitches, he drinks, he overeats, he's just out here living his best life. So after we get introduced to the Shaper leaders here on Earth, Slash pulls up outside of the venue himself, and he's walking in, tucking the blicky inside of his jacket, as you do when you walk into an establishment. My cat just fell over. You good? So Slash walks into the establishment, and that's where he sees Wild Blue. She's in Vegas allegedly just gaining information, doing her espionage shit, overall being a bad bitch in a zebra printed outfit, slaying. She's out here slaying, my guys. So they're talking very discreetly, not to let anybody know Slash is here and what she's really up to. So he orders a room. She's like, okay, do you want anything else? He's like, a bottle of scotch. And then she's like, all right, cool, go up to the room, I'm gonna bring it to you. So Slash heads up to the room, she follows. We cut to some Shapers who are up in the air, the sky, the space. They're up in the space. Now these are different commanders for the Shapers. The main one being Commander Karg. Karg is a more serious commander as opposed to Sark. He actually hates Sark, thinking he's irresponsible and he's just out here doing some dumb shit when they should be advancing the takeover of Earth, even though it's pretty much already happened. So Karg is coming down to just take over for Sark and do the things the way that they want them done, apparently. Now up in the room where Blue meets up with Slash, they start talking, having some dialogue. She's giving us a little bit more backstory on Slash. Slash is asking her, what are you doing in Vegas? You a fuzzlicker now? She's like, no, I'm a spy, I'm not a fuzzlicker. And she ends up kind of mocking him, like, oh, you're Mr. Big Bad Slash, but you're not doing shit to save the Earth. And ultimately tells him that if he was this big badass that he apparently is, he would be helping the Xenos reclaiming the Earth. Slash once again uses this as a time to point out that the Earth isn't worth saving, humans ain't shit, ain't nobody shit, he's the only one that means anything. He has a real holier than thou mentality. He thinks that everybody else is just fucking degenerate trash compared to him. He's not trash Maraud, he's slash Maraud. But that's when Wild Blue lets him know on the plan that they have all concocted. All the Xenos have concocted a plan to where they're gonna track down the lead scientists of the Shapers who actually went rogue after feeling empathy for humans. And once he spoke up like, hey, why are we treating humans like this? The Shapers are like, we gotta kill you, right? You ain't supposed to talk back. He's on the run now, but the Xenos want to track him down so they can use him and his science and his knowledge of what the Shapers are doing to stop the reshaping of Earth so it can remain livable for humans and kick the fucking Shapers out in the process. Slash still says no, he doesn't really think that it's worth anything, and he decides to walk on out. Not before they get some lip-to-lip jujitsu action going, because they haven't seen each other in a while, and I'm imagining they want to bump some uglies. Now, back inside of the hotel casino, Commander Karg and his fleet of people that were just in space have landed, and they're going in to confront Sark about his negligent leading of this reshaping of Earth. So Commander Karg walks in, he's like, the fuck? To which Sark replies, me what the fuck? Like, you what the fuck? You out here scaring the hoes, man. Like, you need to chill. We got drinks, we got food, we got bitches. Kill humans. We could do whatever we want, bro. We want. Commander Karg doesn't take his response well at all. He starts talking about how 19 Shapers have died during the invasion of Earth. Fuck the thousands of humans that have died, and probably millions. But he's like, you ain't done shit about it. Slash Maraud is still out there. And then Sark's like, bro, chill. We got it under control. But Karg refuses to chill. He don't want none of this chill shit that Sark is pushing on him, and he tells him, I'm in charge now. Captain Phillips him. I'm captain now, sort of shit. Now, while this is going on, Sark's getting a little upset. He's like, man, I just ordered drinks. This motherfucker's in my face. So he gets mad as fuck, has a ludicrous moment.
But where the f*** is the waitress at with my drink?
And then the waitress who's approaching with his drinks, he just shoots her, because fuck it. And Karg is no better at this aspect, because after he tells him he's not in charge anymore, he pulls out this cashier register gun looking thing and just starts he just starts taking out people in the crowd. He's just wetting them up indiscriminately. Now, while all this is happening, Slash is in the background quietly sipping some scotch, watching like an alcoholic father who just had a long day at the office, and he decides enough is enough. Goes up to tell Blue that he's in with the plan. So he's walking up the stairs, bottle of scotch in hand, and Blue opens the door where he just says, I'm in. Like, let's go, let's get this done. Blue acknowledges what he just said, but when she turns her back, Slash grabs the bottle and just goes right upside that bitch's head with the bottle. And you may be wondering, why would he do that? And that's because it wasn't actually Blue he was talking to. That was a Shaper who was disguised as Blue. You notice that because after he hits her with the bottle, she turns around looking like Steve Carell's chest in The 40-Year-Old Virgin, hairy as shit, and lunges at him. Now, we already know Slash is packing, so he pulls the gun out and he just starts wetting her up, spraying bullets into her. She lets out a giant screech, and then she falls to the floor. Now, Slash is checking down the hallway because he just, shot a bunch of bullets. He thinks someone's going to be coming up real soon. While he's doing that, the Shaper is reaching for the bottle that he dropped after he domed her with it. But before she can get the upper hand on Slash, you hear some thuds in a closet behind, and that's the real Blue. She kicks down the door, she roundhouses the Shaper bitch, and ultimately saves Slash. They end up pushing the Shaper bitch out of the window, like the boss fight in Def Jam Fight for New York against Snoop Dogg. She falls to the ground. Now they're like, well, someone's definitely going to notice that. They're going to be coming up to get us. So them getting ready for the attack, they start getting their weapons ready to have this firefight. The Shapers are on their way up. Slash has an explosive, blows this shit up, and they end up falling to the main floor of the club that everybody was just in, on top of a panda cage. And that ends issue 1. Issue 2 picks up back where Slash and Blue are on top of the panda cage. She's like, hey, ultimate escape artist Slash, you got a plan to get us out of here? Slash, dopest shit in the world, looks at her, he's just like, yeah, I got a plan. Pandemonium. He shoots the lock on the panda cage, and then genetically modified Poe gets out and just starts wrecking shit in the club, gadooshing everybody in his path. Now I know a lot of people think one-liners are cheesy, but that was fucking dope. And if you disagree, You can go fuck yourself. So Slash and Blue run to make their escape. They got Shapers behind them. They see Fuzz. They're shooting. They get on Slash's bike. They're heading out. They got a ship right behind them. Blue does some more bad bitch shit. She throws a grenade. It explodes. Ship explodes. Now, while all this is happening, Sark and Karg are pretty much arguing like, this is your fault. This is your fault. Their whole interaction throughout the entire series is just one big pissing contest. So Sark saying, yo, we had it under control. We lured him in here. This is your fault. Karg's like, doesn't matter. You didn't do shit about it. We're in charge now. We're gonna follow them. So while Blue and Slash are on his motorcycle heading away, he asks, okay, you heard the conversation. You know that I'm in. Where are we going? She says that the last known location of Dr. X is actually in Provo, Utah, the land of the fucking Mormons. I don't know if Mormons still exist in this time frame, but I imagine they do with all their fucking doomsday bunkers that they've been concocting for themselves. So yeah, they're going to fucking Utah. Now this next part doesn't have a whole lot to do with the story, and some would consider it insignificant, but we're gonna get into it, so just bear with. We then cut to a couple of a middle-aged dweeby looking man and his BBW plus size queen getting hot and heavy on a mattress. He's dressed as Mark Anthony. She's dressed as Cleopatra, where he actually refers to her as his lusciously plump goddess of the Nile or something of the sort. And so they're getting hot and heavy. Just when you think he's going to do like the story of Moses and just send a kid down that wet Nile river, he puts on a Jaron Benton hat and says, well, I got to hunt. Because that's what you do. Obviously, she needs the nourishment. She's like, oh no, you just got me in the mood and you're gonna hunt. And he's like, oh, man's gotta do what a man's gotta do. I gotta go kill a fucking dinosaur. And yeah, I mean, you kill a dinosaur for your lady? I don't think so. So he puts on his Jaron Benton hat, and as he's leaving, they're talking about all the potential dangers that are lurking out there, from vermin packs to shapers to dinos. And this bitch says, well, it seems like the only thing you don't gotta worry about these days is Indians. Bruh. We then cut to 6 hours later, where homegirl went from looking like Cleopatra to Roseanne Barr in the 90s, and she's just sitting around waiting for her man, hoping that he's okay. We then hear a thud at the door. She opens it. It's her man, but he's looking scruffed up. And before she gets a chance to figure out what's going on, homie falls to the floor. She sees that he's covered in arrows. Bruh. So she screams, but before she can really react to anything, she already has a bunch of maniacs storming their little cabin, dressed up as Indians. Bruh. And she screams, oh no, Indians. Bruh. Now normally, something like this would be a little irritating. But homie says the sickest line ever since my dog Frigg said, fuck all you John Smith! Ah! He looks at her and says, forget the Alamo. Which isn't really offensive. And I really think it's kind of fair. Because, you know, we got so much to remember already. When's the last time you thought about the Alamo? So after that super freak couple got slayed by people who look like it was cosplay day at your local methadone clinic, we then cut to our next vermin pack. These ones are called the Damazons, and they're a group of bad bitches who drive trucks and shoot guns and hate men. Their leader is a woman who goes by the name of Angela. Now the hating men part wasn't just speculation. They make it a point within the first few pieces of dialogue to say, oh, well, shapers, they're barely worse than those men. In fact, the giant truck that drives around Angela's throne actually has a jockstrap hanging from the rearview mirror, kind of like All Time Low and the bras hanging in their bus. Except I don't think the jockstrap belonged to an underage girl. So while they're scouring the desert looking for food, they're looking around, nothing around, except in the distance, they see something sticking out of the ground. Some golden arches, baby. You're damn right there's a McDonald's in this future. Now, while they decide to dig up the buried fast food chain so she can get down on some grimace with her girlies, she sends out her robotic spy surveillance bird named Hawkeyes to go survey the area and make sure there's no threats coming. So Hawkeyes goes out, scanning the area, and of course, who's on their way? Slash and Blue. Now they're headed down this path in between like two big crystal barriers, and Hawkeyes heads back to the Damazons. When Angela checks the footage, she prints out a fucking Polaroid and it shows a picture of Slash and Blue. They see at least one man, and that is good enough for them. The Damazons are ready to kill. You don't go around the Damazons wielding a penis. You don't better detach that shit before you go around them. Back in Vegas, one of the subordinates of the Shapers lays this tentacle, fleshy monster thing on top of a desk, and he explains like, yo, this fucking thing has like audio playback. So he explains how it works, which is basically sound creates vibration, vibration changes the things around it, this thing recaptures it and plays it. I don't know why it's designed to look like a failed hentai monster. And so it's on the desk, they put a glass of water next to it, and it drops this like magic bullet cam girl looking thing inside of the water. That's where they listen to the audio of Slash and Blue explaining their plan to go to Provo, Utah. I don't fucking know how to say that city. But back in Utah, where Slash and Blue are headed towards the Damazons are getting ready, rocket in hand, and they're about to blow these motherfuckers sky high. So Slash and Blue peek around the corner, they shoot the rocket, but it misses. They miss, they're like 10 feet off. So Slash falls off, Blue goes flying, and then that's when Angela walks over and starts taunting Slash like, what's up, you penis-having motherfucker? You suck. Don't be coming around here with that shit. But Blue, being the bad bitch that she is, holds a gun up to Angela and is just like, yo, we don't mean you no harm. We're actually on our way to enact a plan to save the Earth. So they let Slash go, and they start talking about this plan to overall save the Earth. It takes virtually no convincing for Angela and the Damazons to be like, all right, we're in. Like, they went from, I'm gonna blow your shit up, to, all right, cool, so where are we going? We're in, what's the plan? And he's like, well, we're on our way to Provo right now. And that's when fear strikes the face of some of the Damazons, and they're like, Provo, that's the land of the family. Now, to get into the family, that's a vermin pack that we saw actually kill the couple in the cabin. So basically, imagine every dark carnival Kyle that went to your high school that has no repercussions because they live in a world where the Earth is already dying. So that's them. They're obsessed with slasher movies. They're obsessed with serial killers, just full-on fucking edgelords out of control. But ultimately, most of the Damazons are still in on the plan. So they head out to Provo, they land on the outskirts of it, they ditch their vehicles to kind of, sneak up on everything going on. And that's when they hear some of the family singing dumb little songs, playing with bones. They're playing with the bones of the couple that they slaughtered back at the cabin. They look over, they take a peek. You got a dumbass gnawing on a bone like a toothy blowjob. That pisses off Angela because, of course, there was a woman involved. And they kind of figure, crazy ass vermin pack. Dr. X is here. They probably have Dr. X. But they need to know for sure that they have him and where everything's at. So they decide to make a sneak attack. They hop out of the bushes and just start wetting them all up. Homie catches one right in the dome mid-sentence, and everybody's just, they die. They literally stood no chance. Now, as Angela's about to kill the last one, that's when Slash is like, nah, hold on. We need him for information. So they're interrogating him. He's spewing a bunch of edgelord shit at them. Like, yeah, we have that guy. He's in our fun room where we torture and chain up people. Before he can keep going on his 4chan little tangent, Slash just fucking ends it. Puts one in his dome, and he's like, all right, so we're headed to the family headquarters. They go to the family headquarters where they're all just inside of, and they're trying to plan this attack. They spend so much time planning this attack. You think it's going to lead to some like crazy ass fight and people are going to die. But no, they just cut the power and then bust in with their guns. And because the family is obsessed with slasher movies, all they have is like axes and bones and poor table manners and bad breath. So they just fucking go in and they just slaughter everybody, shooting, just shoot them up. So they got them all dead inside, except for one guy. One guy must have not got shot at all. He gets up, he takes off running to the cellar. He gets down in the cellar. They're like, oh, that must be the fun room. Of course it's the fucking fun room. These fucking weirdos, the cellar is gonna be the funnest place on earth to them, where it's fucking dark and dingy, just like their fucking sock drawer. So they hear a chainsaw revving down in the cellar where the guy just ran off to. They're getting ready. They're like, all right, so homie has a chainsaw. We're going to have to go down there. We're going to have to capture him. We're going to have to find out if Dr. X is down there too, because they still haven't found Dr. X at this point. So they creep down the stairs. They navigate their way through the cellar, and that's where they see a guy who has a face stitched up like a baseball almost. Like homie looks like a bad skin graft that just happened. He's holding the chainsaw, and they're like, oh shit. But that's when they notice there's a crate in front of him with blood leaking out of it. And so instead of them instantly going to attack the guy with the stitched up face. They lift up the crate, and that's where they see the guy that they originally chased down. Being a little bit confused, except for Slash, he asks, "Oh, so you must be Dr. X, I imagine." And that's where issue 2 ends. Now, issue 3 picks up exactly where issue 2 ended off, where they're all in the cellar. You got the Damazons, you got Slash, Blue, and now Dr. X. Dr. X switches back into the more human form that he has, and he's like acting like a real sad boy. Dr. X goes on this whole tangent about, "Oh yeah, kill me. After what we did to humans, I deserve to die," and really feeling real sorry for himself. And so they have to cut him off like, "Hey, stop being such a sad little bitch right now. Like, we don't want to kill you. We want to save you. We got to reverse these effects that has been happening to the earth." He has to explain, like, there's no reversing this shit. Like, they're already injecting this genetic plasma into the earth via the Eiffel Tower, where the injection site, and says we can possibly stop it, but they're going to need some science shit, and they're going to need to go to Paris. So after he explains that there's no real stopping it, their plan is to link up with the Xeno scientist. Now, the Damazon's not knowing anybody, Blue kind of being out of her element too. Slash steps up and he's like, "Yo, I know a guy who served with him back in the military." So their plan is to meet up with Slash's friend, who's a scientist, and to kind of work with him to see what they can do to stop the reshaping of Earth. That's when Angela goes to Dr. X and she's like, "I bet you the scientist they have is a man. You dig?" He's like, "Dig? I don't know. I don't know what dig means. I'm not digging anything." So Angela replies, "You smart, dumb bitch. No, dig means you understand. You understand?" And then he's like, "Oh yeah, cool, I understand." We then cut to a sports arena out in San Francisco. Now this is going to introduce us to our third vermin pack, and personally my favorite, a group of greaser-esque vermin known as the Jackboots. Now the Jackboots have a leader. His name is Rex Rumble. This dude is a fucking badass throughout the story. So we get introduced to him because he's actually at an old baseball arena that they transform into being like a gladiator sort of thing for the Shapers to enjoy watching humans fight other humans, humans fight dinos, and for humans to fight Shapers that are being punished. So if you speak out of turn as a Shaper, you get sent to the fucking gladiator arena and you have to fight for your life. So Rex is mid-fight with these smaller dinosaurs, making quick work out of them. The commentators are basically saying, "Oh yeah, another win for Rex. Rex is unstoppable in these arenas, but he might have a challenger." And they send in one of the Shapers who was on punishment, and Rex makes quick work out of his ass, ending up putting a spiked bat into his head, ending him real quick. Then he goes back to his Jackboots, little greaser posse that he has. Now their dialogue is a little fucking weird. They're always like, "Hey, daddy-o," and calling each other daddy like this is a fucking Diddy party. But they pretty much talk to Rex about how there's a plan for all these different vermin factions to meet up at the Coliseum, and they're gonna all scrap it out for dominance. And all the vermin packs are all human. This kind of ties into the idea that vermin packs are nothing but violent outcasts that have just banded together, and all they do is lash out at each other. So this big rumble is set to go down, and Rex is like, "Hell yeah, homie, let's get this shit, dog." Shortly after this, we catch up with our protagonist group consisting of the Damazons, Blue, Slash, and now Dr. X. They're all heading to the place in California where Slash's Connect lives, and they're gonna start working with him. He's a scientist, and he's been working with the Xenos on ways to fight the Shapers and kind of take everything back. So we finally meet Slash's Connect, a scientist by the name of Race. Slash walks in, is like, "Yo, what's up? What's good? We have this plan. We're trying to take the Earth back." And he's like, "Yeah, I've been working on some shit like that." He's been trying to do some sweet biological warfare, try to create a virus that would kill the Shapers. Ended up doing nothing to them, gave them all the flu. And Slash is like, "So you down to like fight? We got to go to Paris. We got to stop the injection site." And that's when Race has to interject, like, "Whoa, hold easy there, bud. Like, I'm too old for that shit now. I'm gonna have to hang back, but you guys should try to recruit some vermin packs, because the vermins, they're violent. They want to lash out, and you need some muscle. You need some soldiers, my guy." That's when Slash decides to go on this huge tangent about the vermin packs, basically saying they're a bunch of no good degenerates, and all they do is kill each other. They just kill humans, and they're a bunch of punks. He calls them punks a lot. So Race has to interject, like, "Yo, you remember my son? He's actually in a vermin pack now." Slash apologizes and is just like, "Well, he was an angsty youth. I bet you under different circumstances, him and all these other vermin would be patriots." Like the most fucking out of touch dad conversation they're having. You wouldn't be a good strapping young man unless you're fighting for the good old US of A, baby. That's how these guys feel. So after Race convinces Slash that they need to recruit some of the vermins because they'll be more helpful in this scenario, he tells Slash that there's actually a big rumble going down between all of the factions down at the Coliseum. They're in another part of Cali right now, but it's not too far away. They part ways, but everybody's on board with this plan now. We cut back to Commander Sark for a brief moment, who's sitting down and is about to gobble up a bunch of glizzies like he's Joey Chestnut. He has this side piece right there. It's kind of like looking at him in disgust, like, damn, you out here really like overeating and just being gross and shit. Like, damn, you more human now than you are Shaper. He takes offense to that and he's like, hey, bitch, remember who's in charge. Put some relish on my hot dog for me. After that display of complete defiance towards moderation that Sark does, we then transfer back to the Rumble. So the Rumble starts off, you have Rex in the center explaining the rules. The rules are, bitch, there are no rules. We're all gonna kill each other. Let's get this thing cracking. We get introduced to all of the other vermin packs that are important in this scenario. So we got the Zen Mugs being led by Taki. We got the Congo Crosshairs led by Tommy Gunn. And then there's other ones too that don't really matter too much, if I'm being honest. But the Rumble goes underway. You got fucking motocross bikes running over people's faces. You got bitches in fishnets just kicking people in the chest. And it's just total fucking chaos. But it actually looks like Rex and his group are gonna prevail. They're gonna take over because it's Rex. He's a fucking badass. He's taking out people left and right. So while all this is going down, you got Rex's shorty up in the commentator booth that's giving a play-by-play of how badass Rex is pretty much. She's not ignoring everything else, but her focal point is obviously Rex. Like that's who's dicking her down at the moment. So while the Rumble's going down and everybody's fighting, scrapping it out, there's no Shapers in sight. They're not in the Coliseum right now. Like the vermin packs are just doing this for fun. They're out here killing each other for the hell of it, just for dominance of this dying planet. Now, with that being said, there are two Shapers who are up in the stands, casually watching everything, talking to each other about, oh, hey, look at that. You know, humans are animals. They just be killing each other. And turns out later that they're actually spies for Commander Karg, who is on the lookout for the group of protagonists and Dr. X, imagining that they probably tracked him down by now. Now, the whole Rumble isn't exactly at an end, but it looks like it's going towards the jackboots in Rex's favor, and that's when it's interrupted by Slash. Rex is like, yo, man, you old bitch. Why the hell you interrupting our fight? Slash is like, don't call me an old bitch, you little punk. Like, I'll smoke your ass. And then Rex says, well, if you want to smoke my ass, then smoke my ass. Prove it then. That's when Slash comes up with a proposal for Rex and the vermin packs. Slash basically says he'll fight Rex. If Rex wins, then he gets to kill Slash. You know, not a real perk of winning other than just one-upping this old man who came and interrupted their fight. But if Slash wins, then him and the other vermin packs have to join them in this conquest to take the Earth back from the Shapers. Rex is like, taking Earth back from the Shapers, that's a hopeless cause. I don't believe in that one bit. But I ain't no bitch, so I'll still go down. Like, we'll still throw down. What's up? What's good? So Rex accepts Slash's challenge and is like, all right, then, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. Let's get this started. And they set up to square up. Now we cut to another scene. Now this scene, just bear with me on this. Now, up until this point, we've only seen the Shapers in their fuzzy, round-headed alien form. It turns out that that's actually a different shape that they take for the Earth to be in the Earth's atmosphere, because for some reason that matters, and their real form hasn't been shown up until now. We cut to space, and we see Commander Karg making it with a woman. Imagine if Bad Dragon made a real doll for people who wanted to experience what it was like to fuck Nickelodeon slime. That's what Commander Karg looks like. So she's on top, cowgirl mounting the fucking Mucinex mascot, and there's like tentacles wrapping around. I don't know if they're limbs. I don't know exactly what is what, but she's saying that it's the best squeeze, as she calls it, best squeeze of her life. So, and Commander Karg is, you know, getting his rocks off. He's mucus coming. He's mucus coming inside of her. The Lovecraftian lovemaking actually gets interrupted by one of Karg's lieutenants, who is calling to let him know, hey, we got a hit on Slash and Dr. X. They're all at this Coliseum in San Francisco. He's like, yo, the fuck, I'm smashing right now. They're doing their job. They're alerting Commander Karg. They didn't know that he was in full-blown booger form, just banging broads. He's like, I will deal with it. I'm preoccupied. We then cut back to the arena where Slash and Rex are still duking it out. Slash is attacking, Rex is dodging, Rex attacks, Slash dodges. So like Slash seems like he's getting the upper hand, but Rex ain't backing down for nobody. He's still in this fight and he's ready to die for the right to say that he fucking beat the shit out of this disrespectful fucking middle-aged man. Now, while there are fights going on, everybody's so captivated with the violence, they don't notice the two Shapers coming down from the stands with the subtlety of your racist uncle's commentary during Kendrick's halftime show. So they creep up, they get directly behind Dr. X. One of them grabs Dr. X and the other one takes the shape of the human form that Dr. X was just in. They drag him away. Nobody notices a fucking thing. Like, that's one of the one things that did irk me about this scene is fucking, you don't fucking notice that shit go down because they just instantly cut to him being thrown onto a train where they're gonna haul his ass away. So they're fighting, swinging their little blunt objects with spikes through them at each other, and Slash ends up getting the upper hand, and he has Rex almost looking like he's defeated, but Rex ain't no bitch. Rex, thinking he's not gonna go out like that, pulls out a knife and he's gonna go at Slash. And this is when Slash, Mr. Big Badass fucking main character vibes, he does the weakest trick that you can think of. So it turns out that Race, the scientist from earlier, is actually Rex's dad. So the aforementioned vermin son that Race had is Rex. So Slash looks at him as like, I know your dad. Obviously, he fucking threw him off guard with that. So instead of getting the attack going, fucking Rex is like, what the fuck? You know my dad? And disarms Rex and then has him in the position to fucking kill him. So after Slash wins the fight that they have, he's telling Rex, all right, well, deal's a deal. You got to join up with us now. Rex ain't having that shit, and he says he wants a fucking rematch. He's not going to let it go that easy. Like, if it's up there, it's fucking stuck there. That's when Angela gets the bright idea of like, hey, we still need all these vermin packs, so I'm going to send this dumb hoe, McNear, over there to seduce Rex. I'll get into why she's a dumb hoe, but this bitch irks me. So she walks over to Rex and she tells him like, hey, there's a perk into you joining up with us, and you're looking at her right here. Rex ain't interested in no pity pussy. He wants that fucking bloodshed. Everybody else around is like, hey, you guys gotta stop with that hyper masculine bullshit right now. It eventually ends up with Rex agreeing and a lot of the vermin pack going with them and saying, all right, well, I guess we're in. We'll join your cause to stop the reshaping of Earth. So after these little exchanges, the spies get back to Commander Karg and they're like, yo, we got Dr. X on a train and we infiltrated Slash's group. So we got one of us in there. We got Dr. X, and you know, now Commander Karg is having a good ass day. He just did the nasty with that one bitch, and he got his traitor, and Slash's group is now under surveillance. So it looks like he got the upper hand at this point. So now all the vermin group, Slash, Blue, all the protagonists and their soldiers head off to Oakland, where they're going to be bunkered up. They're discussing a plan of how are we going to get all the way to Paris to stop this injection? How are we going to introduce this antidote that Dr. X needs to make into the injection site to stop all of the reshaping shit that's going on? So while they're all bunkered up in Oakland, all the vermin pack leaders are sitting around talking, just kind of talking about the state of the world and their mental states and their sense of belonging. They gloss over that just so Rex's girl can have a conversation with Slash and be like, yo, well, you so smart. How are we going to get all the way to Paris? And that's when Slash says, oh, we're going to take a plane, dumb bitch. You can fucking fly. And she's like, how are we going to fly? We're going to get detected. And he's like, well, we're going to have to fly low. So after Slash has his little one-liner of telling her, we do like how we're supposed to do, we fly low, Angela decides to check in with Dr. X because some people are feeling uneasy about the fact of flying at all when all airspace is controlled by the Shapers and they have shit ready to shoot you down at any second. So after that little exchange from them, Angela walks up to fake Dr. X. She asks him like, yeah, so that's gonna work, right? So he tells her, yeah, that's exactly how that works. So if we fly low, they're not gonna detect us. Angela, not knowing it's fake Dr. X, is like, all right, sounds like a plan, a good plan, you dig? And him not knowing that they had this conversation earlier, because he's fake Dr. X, he's that shaper bitch that was up in the stands. He's like, dig, no, I don't understand. And that's when it hits. Everybody's like, oh, that was kind of fucking sus. They all exchange looks. Slash looks at fake Dr. X and is like, you ain't Dr. X, bitch. Who the fuck you is then? But before we could get any real answers, you got the Shapers who are moving in on their location in their spiky ships that they have, and that's where book 3 ends. Now, if you made it this far in the video, I'm assuming you're one of two types of people. You either know me personally or just trying to show some support to your boy, which I appreciate. I love you for that. That's amazing. Or you like when a complete and total fucking idiot explains comic books that you probably haven't heard of before. Either way, if you want to see me talk about some other stories, or you have other nerdy shit that you feel like isn't discussed as much as it should be, feel free to comment it, DM me for it. I don't care. I love new content. Slash Maraud Part 2 is going to be in the works. Also, I'm going to be heading to Albuquerque, where my friends out there are hosting a whole battle rap event, and I'm going to be there attending and sponsoring and hitting some comic book shops while I'm out there. So be expecting more content in the future. For that, I love you. Keep the vibes up, and I hope you have a good one. Peace.